We are here with new episode. In 2020, Al Pacino's heart suddenly stopped beating. Paramedics managed to bring him back, but from that moment on, everything changed. Now, at 84, the legendary actor who gave us The Godfather lives a life no one ever expected. He lost $50 million, takes on movie roles just to survive, and at 83, became a father with a girlfriend young enough to be his granddaughter. From DNA test controversies to his dark views on death, here's why one of Hollywood's greatest actors has become one of its loneliest. Al Pacino was born on April 25, 1940, in East Harlem, New York City. His parents, Rosa Girardi and Salvatore Pacino, were Sicilian immigrants trying to build a better life in America. However, their marriage didn't last. When Pacino was just 2 years old, his father left for California to work as an insurance salesman. His mother, with the help of his grandparents, Kate and James Girardi, raised him alone in the South Bronx. His grandparents had come from Corleone, Sicily, a town that would later become famous because of The Godfather. Life in the Bronx during the 1940s and 1950s was tough. His family struggled financially, and his father's absence left a void that never really healed. However, his mother gave him something invaluable: her love for movies. She often took him to the theater, where he became completely captivated by the stories on screen. Even before he fully understood what acting was, he was already drawn to it. Those early movie experiences planted a seed that would later grow into his lifelong passion. As he got older, Pacino became known as Sonny among his friends. He had a rebellious nature and was always testing limits. By the time he was 9, he had already started smoking and drinking. By 13, he was experimenting with marijuana. School didn't interest him much, and he was constantly in trouble. Fighting, skipping class, and breaking rules became part of his routine. He was expelled from several schools before getting accepted into the High School of Performing Arts. It seemed like the perfect place for someone like him, but he didn't stay long. At 17, after a heated argument with his mother about his future, he dropped out. Without a high school diploma or a stable job, he spent his teenage years drifting. He hung out with a group of friends who, like him, had no real direction in life. Some got involved in trouble, others turned to drugs. 3 of his closest friends, Cliffy, Bruce, and P.Y., would later die from drug overdoses. Pacino could have easily gone down the same path, but something kept him going. Acting became his escape, a way to channel his restless energy into something meaningful. He later admitted that without acting, he might not have made it out alive. Then came the tragedies that changed him forever. In 1962, when Pacino was just 22, his mother died at the young age of 43. She had battled depression for years, and her death hit him harder than anything else in his life. Just a year later, his grandfather James, who had been like a father to him, also passed away. Within a year, he lost the 2 most important people in his life. It was the lowest point he had ever experienced. He felt completely lost, as if there was nothing left to hold on to. Many years later, in his memoir Sonny Boy, named after the nickname his mother gave him, he wrote about his pain. He expressed his hope that if there was an afterlife, he might get the chance to reunite with his mother, just to walk up to her and say, "Hey Ma, see what happened to me." After losing his mother and grandfather, Pacino threw himself into acting. It wasn't easy. He took on any job he could find: janitor, busboy, messenger, postal clerk, just to afford acting classes. He trained at HB Studio in Greenwich Village, where he met Charlie Lawton, an acting teacher who became his mentor. But money was always a struggle. There were nights when he had nowhere to sleep. He crashed on friends' couches or even spent the night in theaters when he had no other options. In the early 1960s, he was so broke that he sometimes had to sleep on the streets while taking whatever small acting roles he could find in underground theater productions. His career took a major turn in 1968 when he starred in the off-Broadway play The Indian Wants the Bronx, written by Israel Horowitz. It premiered at the Astor Place Theater in New York City and ran for 177 performances. Pacino's portrayal of Meth, a violent troublemaker, was raw, intense, and deeply human. Critics took notice, and so did the industry. He won the Obie Award for Best Actor, while his co-star, John Cazale, won Best Supporting Actor. Something even more important happened behind the scenes. The play was staged alongside another Horowitz play, The Sugar Plum, which starred Jill Clayburgh, Pacino's romantic partner at the time. Through this production, he met Martin Bregman, a man who would change his life. Bregman saw something special in Pacino and became his manager, later helping him land some of his most iconic roles in The Godfather, Serpico, and Dog Day Afternoon. Pacino later admitted that without Bregman, his career might not have turned out the way it did. In 1969, Pacino made his Broadway debut in Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie?, a play about teenage drug addicts in a rehabilitation center. He played Bickham, a troubled young addict with a tough exterior but deep emotional wounds. The play only ran for 39 performances, but it left a lasting impact. Critics praised Pacino's performance, with Newsweek calling him a hood with a poetic soul. At just 29, he won the Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Play. That moment changed everything for him. Pacino's ability to bring so much depth to his roles came from years of intense training. He studied under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio in New York City, one of the most respected acting schools in the world. Strasberg was a master of method acting, teaching actors how to tap into their deepest emotions to create realistic performances. Pacino later said that training with Strasberg gave him the confidence to fully commit to acting. However, landing his most iconic role, Michael Corleone in The Godfather, wasn't easy. Today, his performance is legendary, but back in 1972, casting him nearly derailed the entire production. Paramount Pictures wanted a well-known star like Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, Robert Redford, or Ryan O'Neal. At the time, Pacino was relatively unknown, with just one film credit and a strong theater background. But director Francis Ford Coppola believed Pacino was perfect for the role. He saw what the studio executives didn't: Pacino's ability to capture Michael's transformation from an innocent war hero to a ruthless mafia boss. Coppola fought hard for him, leading to endless arguments with the studio. Even after filming began, Paramount was still skeptical. They watched early footage and wanted him replaced. Coppola had to act fast. He decided to film the restaurant assassination scene earlier than planned to prove Pacino's worth. When the executives saw it, their doubts disappeared. They finally realized what Coppola had seen all along: Pacino wasn't just good, he was unforgettable. From that moment on, his place in the film was secure. He is determined to take whatever he wants. Al Pacino completely immersed himself in the role, carefully shaping every aspect of Tony Montana's character. From his accent to his gestures and even the way he held a gun, everything was meticulously planned. During filming, he suffered a serious burn on his hand when he grabbed the barrel of a hot gun. This injury delayed production but also demonstrated his dedication to making the character as real as possible. When Scarface was released, it faced heavy criticism. Many attacked its extreme violence and frequent use of profanity. The Cuban community in Miami protested the way immigrants were portrayed in the film, which led to some scenes being filmed in Los Angeles instead. Despite the backlash, Scarface found its audience. The movie grossed $66 million worldwide and eventually became a cult classic. Tony Montana's rise and fall served as a warning about the dangers of greed and power. Lines like "Say hello to my little friend" became legendary, and the film's influence spread into hip-hop, video games, and popular culture. Over time, Scarface was recognized as one of the greatest gangster films ever made. In 1992, Pacino took on a very different role in Scent of a Woman, which finally earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor. He played Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade, a blind and bitter Army veteran who spends a weekend with a young prep school student, Charlie Sims, played by Chris O'Donnell. The movie follows their journey as Slade teaches Charlie about life while secretly battling his own inner darkness. To prepare for the role, Pacino wore opaque contact lenses to block his vision and used a cane even when the cameras weren't rolling. His performance was a perfect balance of humor and intensity, making Slade one of the most unforgettable characters of his career. One of the film's most famous moments is the tango scene, where Slade, despite his blindness, leads a young woman in a flawless dance. When Scarface premiered in 1983, it caused an uproar. Critics attacked it for its extreme violence, frequent profanity, and what they believed was a glorification of drug culture. The infamous chainsaw scene, which happens only 20 minutes into the film, shocked audiences. Some, including writers Kurt Vonnegut and John Irving, even walked out of screenings. But the controversy didn't end there. Many Cuban immigrants in Miami protested, arguing that the film unfairly portrayed them as criminals and drug traffickers. They believed it reinforced harmful stereotypes and made their community the face of Miami's drug trade. Even some in Hollywood saw trouble coming. Martin Scorsese reportedly warned Stephen Bauer, who played Tony Montana's best friend, that the film would be hated by Hollywood because it exposed its own corruption. Despite the backlash, Scarface was a major success. It grossed over $134 million worldwide against a $31 million budget. Pacino's performance was highly praised, and Tony Montana's signature phrase became instantly recognizable. Many felt that Pacino's Oscar win for Scent of a Woman was long overdue, rewarding an actor who had already delivered some of the greatest performances in film history. Over time, Scarface gained a new life as a cult classic, particularly within hip-hop and Latino communities, where Tony Montana became a symbol of ambition and defiance. This growing popularity sparked debates: was Scarface a warning against excess, or had it become a symbol of the very lifestyle it condemned? Even today, the discussion continues, proving that some films never lose their impact. Years later, Pacino took on another controversial role in HBO's Paterno, a 2018 film about the Penn State child abuse scandal. The story focused on a critical 2-week period in 2011 when Joe Paterno, a football legend with over 400 career wins, saw his reputation collapse. His former assistant, Jerry Sandusky, had been arrested for sexually abusing young boys, and he was later sentenced to 30 to 60 years in prison. The film raised a haunting question: how much did Paterno know? Pacino's performance captured the struggle of a man torn between his football empire and the growing scandal. One scene shows Paterno recalling a 2001 report from an assistant coach who had seen Sandusky molesting a boy in a team shower. Paterno reported it to university officials but never followed up. That decision overshadowed everything he had built. Critics praised Pacino for portraying Paterno's internal conflict, but the film itself divided audiences. Some saw Paterno as a scapegoat, while others believed he had deliberately turned a blind eye. Over 300 of his former players protested the film, arguing that it unfairly destroyed his legacy. Just months after being fired from Penn State, Paterno died of lung cancer at age 85. The film didn't take a clear stance, instead forcing viewers to decide whether Paterno was guilty of inaction or simply caught in a failing system. Pacino took on another controversial role in 2013 with HBO's Phil Spector, a film about the legendary music producer accused of murdering actress Lana Clarkson in 2003. Unlike a typical courtroom drama, the film focused on his relationship with defense attorney Linda Kenny Baden, played by Helen Mirren. The movie didn't focus on the legal battle but rather on a man losing control of his own narrative. Was he a misunderstood genius or exactly what the world believed? The film never provided a clear answer, leaving audiences as conflicted as when the case first made headlines. Off-screen, Pacino faced personal challenges. In 2011, he discovered he had lost $50 million after his longtime accountant, Kenneth Starr, was caught running a Ponzi scheme. Pacino, who had spent decades earning millions per film, was nearly wiped out overnight. Starr had built a reputation as a trusted financial advisor managing Hollywood's biggest stars, but behind the scenes, he had been stealing from them. When the scheme collapsed, Starr was arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Pacino returned from an expensive European vacation only to find his fortune gone. In his memoir, Sonny Boy, he recalled the devastating moment when he realized the full extent of the betrayal. To recover, he took on unexpected projects, including starring in Jack and Jill, a film he later admitted he did only for the paycheck. He also took on speaking engagements and even appeared in commercials. He described that period as a crazy montage of loss, but in the end, it taught him resilience, proving that even in Hollywood, no one is untouchable. Pacino has always been more than just an actor. He is a storyteller who seeks meaning in every role he plays. His passion for acting goes beyond performance. He wants to break down the craft and share it with others. This drive led him to step behind the camera. His first major project as a director was Looking for Richard in 1996, an unconventional film that was part documentary, part performance, and part personal journey. He aimed to show why Shakespeare still matters, using Richard III as a way to prove that its themes remain relevant. The film blended dramatized scenes with interviews featuring scholars and actors. It won the Directors Guild of America Award for Outstanding Directorial Achievement in a Documentary in 1997. Despite never marrying, fatherhood became an essential part of Pacino's life. In June 2023, at 83, he welcomed his fourth child, Roman, with 29-year-old Noor Al-Fala. The news shocked many, especially after reports surfaced that Pacino requested a paternity test, as he didn't believe he could still have children. When the results confirmed Roman was his, he fully embraced fatherhood again. At 84, Pacino is still active in Hollywood. In 2021, he starred in House of Gucci, and he has several upcoming projects, including Modi, a film about artist Emilio Modigliani, and The Ritual, a horror film based on true events. His passion for storytelling remains strong. He often says acting saved his life. Even after facing personal and professional struggles, Pacino continues to push forward, proving that his journey is far from over. Thanks for watching.